Okay, Michis. The initial pattern here is phrase-based, so I like this exercise because it kind of has a melody to it. I don't think you can really get into the variations until you have this phrase naturally in your head where you don't even have to think about it. It just kind of pours out of your hands. I would be thinking like this. 1, 2, ready, go. Huh, huh, huh. Huh, huh, huh. Huh, huh. Huh, huh, huh. Huh, huh. Huh, huh, huh. La-dee-da, do-da-do-da. I know I'm being silly, but this is what I'm kind of singing in my head. Yes, there is a pattern of you play on beat 1, 2, 3, or you play on 1, 2, and 4, or you play on 1 and 3, 4, and then you're playing on the last 2, 3, 4. Yes, there's that mathematical side to it, but really it's a melody. I really want you to get out of the math of it and start feeling the melody of it. All right, so let's hear that in context. Michi, 16-3, check. Da, 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 da. Michi Rolls. So Michi Rolls, we kind of take that idea and kind of tweak it a little bit. Usually on Michis, you put the variation on the accent. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a long 13-stroke roll on the last accent before a non-accent. So on the first variation, it's roll. We kind of flip it on triplet rolls a little bit. But basically you're putting the roll on beat 3, and then you're putting the roll on beat 2, and then you're putting the roll on beat 1, and then we're just going to do a long roll. So it's kind of based on Michis, but we made it its own thing. You can do this with tap rolls, all different heights. I'm just going to do 16, and then we'll do 3 inches as well. Michi Rolls, 16. Da, 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 da. Michi Rolls, 3 inches. Da, 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 da. You could put accents on those if you wanted. You could put accents on the rolls. There's a lot of different things we can do on this depending on what we're trying to work on. Okay, so the second variation, simple variation, is tap roll. So basically check is low, triple it. We play an accent that downstrokes appropriately, and then you're playing a low roll. Make sure on that accent it's a pure downstroke, and then you have a low drag. That's easy. It's the right drag following your right accent that's going to be hard to be low. You're going to want to go triple the accent and then have this kind of like medium height drag. Make sure you're really paying attention to the first drag after an accent. Likewise when you go to the left hand, triple it, downstroke. Make sure that first left drag after a left accent is the correct height. It's going to want to be too high. And then we're adding, just for fun, a crescendo at the end. Michi, 16-3, tap rolls. Da, 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 da. So both variations you should be able to play faster and faster. So we're going to do 160 just to make sure we're really working on our track. Michi Tap Roll 16-3. Da, 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 da. Alright, so now it's time to work through all these variations in the Michi grid. So this will be a lot of fun. We'll do some of these easier ones a little bit faster, around 150, and then for the harder ones we'll kind of slow down. But you always have the option to slow down if we put this on drumlinechops.com. Here we go. So we have Downbeat Drags. So obviously in all these variations, we're trying to work through it mentally, but of course we're also trying to make sure we have good sound quality and good rhythmical interpretation. So in other words, make sure all these drags are perfect. Good downstrokes, good heights. Let's do everything nice and chill, 11 and 3. Downbeat Drags, 11 3. Tap Drags. So third partial is a little bit strange because the last drag is before non-accented beat. So da-ka, digga-da-ka, digga-da-ka, digga-da-da-da. So that last one before the non-accented beat will always be digga-da-da-da, digga-da-da-da. Okay, so in other words. So it's a little bit strange. So you might have to do this slowly at first, but let's just go for it. Alright, so 7-stroke roll. So this is putting 3 drags on the non-accented beat. So maybe try this with just downstroke accents and then the roll only. So you can get a really good sense of the downstroke and then also downstroking after the roll and knowing where the roll is. It's going to be on beat 4, then beat 3, then beat 2, and then beat 1. And then we put it into the grid. Alright, so I think be careful there. Make sure your roll is not early. I came in early a little bit on about 2 of those, so watch out for that. Alright, downbeat 5. Make sure you have a good downstroke even on these accented drags. Those are accented drags, but they're still downstroked. Okay? Okay, tap 5s. Good downstroke, good interbeat, nice and low on the tap 5s. And don't be early on the first drags. Split 5s or outside 5s. This is a little bit similar to third partials where the last drag will go into the non-accented beat, so it's a little bit weird. So, so it's a little bit weird there. So maybe try this one with just drags only. So that helps you grasp the concept, but also work on your downstroke accented drags too, and make sure the interbeat drags are not too high. Okay, long tap rolls into the unaccented count. So this is Michi Tap Rolls, except there's accents on everything. So, and there'll be a 5-stroke roll on the last beat to the release. So that's a little bit strange because it gets cut off. Okay, make sure your first drags aren't early. Okay, so we're on to the third line of the Michi grid patterns. Now, I'm going to go a little slower, 125, because some of these flams are going to get difficult eventually. So, Flam Accents is not that hard, but we'll go slow. We really make sure our heights are good and downstrokes are good. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready. Tu-chutas. Alright, so these are your accented hand is followed by an opposite flam. Right, left, left, right. And that second note is a flam. Flam, flam. I would just get really good at just doing them back to back. And get used to that because this is a little strange. Maybe just practice the first 2 notes. Ta-cha, 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 ta-cha. I think the hardest thing is that you have to downstroke very quickly in the accented hand. So while this is a flowy exercise when you get used to it, you don't really flow with your hands open. You flow with your hands closed in the back. So it's a little strange. So you got to get used to. That's a little weird at first. So you have to give yourself time, go slowly until you're like riding a bike and you're like, oh, I got it. Okay, here we go. Alright, so that one's going to be, you have to be real detailed about your heights on that and downstrokes. Okay, Tu-chutas. So this is basically putting the flam on the third partial. Accent, tap, flam. Accent, tap, flam. So this is like a, kind of like a flamacue where it has that molar whip. So you're going to have this kind of inverted motion. Okay, so you just have to go through this slowly until you figure it out, but you guys are super smart and we'll figure it out. Yeah, so that was a little bit tough. You can even hear with me, some of my flams are flat because my heights aren't great. So I'm going to need to slow this down and really get the heights a little bit better on the grace notes. Cheeses or stutters, great. Flam accents with drags on them. Got a downstroke. Height ninjas. Okay, Flam Drags. Okay, Flam Fives. Yeah, so you got to really control those. Almost the non-drags are the hardest part of that. So you got to really have a lot of control. The next couple here, Dudapas and third partial accents and Pudadas, kind of set you up for some other ones. So this is almost, some of these are almost like primers for the main variation that we're trying to get to. For Dudapas and some of these other ones, maybe try a quarter rest on the non-accented beat, so you can get a sense of how it switches from hand to hand. Because now we're starting to, it's starting to switch the stickings even mid-pattern. Right, right, left, 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 right, right, left, 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 right, right. So you get the idea there. Now let's fill it in. One, make sure you have a good downstroke. Again, you gotta close your hand for the double right or double left. Okay, it's very important that you learn how to do a double with an accent, but the second note is low, okay? I know that's usually we're trying to get push, pull to be the same height, but you're gonna have to learn how to go high-low quickly, so you gotta keep your hand closed. That's gonna be important. Don't just go oh, whatever and flow through it. Get the heights to be high-low, high-low, high-low on the accent. Third partial accents. Pudadas. Pretty straightforward here. Outside double. So this is right, right, or left, left. And I think they still want you to double going into the non-accented beat. So that means you're going to have to go flow, push, pull down, and then do a low double every time you go into a non-accent. So that's a little bit weird. So maybe do this with just the accents. Maybe try just the accents and then the low note double going into the non-accented. So right, full, low. Left, 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 low. Ba, 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 and low. Da, 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 and low. All the way through. Okay, let's give it a shot. Yeah, so that's tough because you have correct push-pull doubles. Then you have to downstroke into a double where the second note's slow. It's kind of weird. Okay, threes. I think we can do this three ways, and it mostly has to do with the non-accented beat. So obviously these threes will have this natural decay. Let's do alternating on the non-accented hands first. So right, left, 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 right, left. So let's do that first. 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Rush a little bit at the end, sorry. Now do the non-accented hands as threes. So right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. Okay, why not? 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. Yeah, sorry, a little bit of rushing there from me and crushing. And then let's try this with Dudapas, right, right, left, or left, left, right, to switch during the two measure phrases. So right, left, right, Dadapa, left, right, Dadapa, right, Dadapa, right, Dadapa, left, right. Okay, 1, 2, 1, 2, ready, go. And then you can probably do this with Pudadas. Now let's just go ahead and do this for fun with Pudadas during the non-accented. Right, left, right, Pudada, left, right, Pudada, right, left, Pudada, right, Pudada, left, right, Pudada. rushing for me, but yeah. All right, so like I said, some of these were primers for the next one. So this next one is Herta, and the primer for that is the Dudapa. So when you practice the Dudapa, you practice this accented right into a low right, keeping your hands closed to get good heights. Now it really matters because we're about to add that left in between. And we don't want digga-da-da, we want or. So you have to learn how to do the correct downstroke. So you're not going or. You should be. So you gotta have to have that real controlled double. Same thing with tap Herta. So the Pudadas primed you for this because da digga da is ta 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 ta. So you have to have a good downstroke now. Or okay. Okay, so the same hand tap drag. So this is almost like tap drags, but now you're going right right or left left. So you have to have a nice downstroke and then you're dragging. Which is harder than it seems. And this is going to set you up for paradiddles in a second, so your paradiddles don't look like this. With a high double. Helping you get that double to be low, so having a nice pure downstroke on the accents without overplaying. So I would do this just the first and second partial only. You're really focusing on the heights, and then fill it in. Okay, so now when we do grandmas, which is basically paradiddles, it's a combination of the Herta skill and a combination of the same hand tap drag skill. So digga-da, 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 or digga-da, digga-da, put them together. Digga-da, digga-da. Make sure the first digga-da is close enough and you have that nice downstroke, and then your double's not too high. So maybe practice with no release. Oh, you see my left heights? See, my left needs a lot of work on the downstroking. Okay, so now we're going on to same hand tap fives. So this should sound just like tap fives, but this is a Dadapa sticking. So again, your downstroke, right, that last right needs to be nice and low, and you downstroke the first accent. And now we're putting drags on the 2 and 3rd partial. Or left lead. Don't be early. Okay, and this is going to set you up for Paradiddle-diddles in a second. So now this Paradiddle-diddle variation is a combination of what we just did, same hand tap fives, and the Herta. So quick Herta, into a drag, and then followed by another drag. Should sound just like sextuplets. Okay, The non-accented hand is just nice and low, and you have to have a good downstroke in your accented hand. Okay, the last line is kind of a note value exercise built in to all this mental Michi stuff. It's not that hard, but you have to have a lot of stick control and also timing control. Paradiddles. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 and a triplet. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 triplet. 1 E and a 2 E and a triplet. Okay, here we go. Okay, 16th check. I mean, you can do this all up. So this basically becomes a no value exercise. So this becomes a fulcrum changing exercise. And if you want to at first, so on the 8th notes, you're kind of legato and open, and then on the triplets, you kind of hold on a little bit more. So it just takes learning how to control. Alright, same thing, but with push-pull doubles. Produce every note. Alright, so I would do this one with just accents only. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. 1, a 2, a 3. And make sure that doesn't turn into triplet. 1, a 2, day, today, today. Right? Make sure it's real sharp. And then you have to go to the back fulcrum with the triplets. Crush the last double at the end, but open it up. So now we're doing some fivelets. So make sure you're comfortable with just fivelets. Drag-dada. So this is a Pudadas, but you're putting a drag, a push-pull drag. So what's tough about this is you're doing a double on your right and a double on your left, but one's doing 16th notes and one's doing 8th notes. So one's really more open than the other. So it takes a lot of control. So this should sound like a Herta. So you have to downstroke these accents. Okay, last variation, although you could create a bunch of different variations in Michi's. Single stroke 7. So I would do this first with just consistent triplets in one hand, except for the non-accented measure. Right, right, left, right, left. Left, right, left, right. 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 Okay, then all you gotta do is fill it in. Another option is to do this with a little bit of an agogic accent and use some molar.